You are listening to Small Business Straight Talk with your host, Amber De La Garza. Amber is a sought-after coach, trainer, speaker, and writer who gives small business owners the straight talk on productivity, time management, business systems, leading your teams, strategic decision-making, and mindset. No BS, fluff, or overused jargon. Just actionable strategies to get results and succeed in business. And here is your host, Amber De La Garza, the productivity specialist.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Small Business Straight Talk podcast. Today is episode 354, Looking Back to Leap Forward in the New Year. If you're a small business owner who wants to learn effective business strategies, improve time management, and elevate productivity to maximize profits, reduce stress, and make time for what matters most, then you're in the right place, and I'm so glad you've joined me. Before we dive into today's episode, I would love for you to go take my Next Level Business Owner quiz. If you have not already done so, hit pause, take 3 quick minutes to head on over to amberdelagarza.com/quiz to find out what's most holding you back from taking your business to the next level. And then I'll send you a curated playlist of specific episodes that address those challenges with resources, strategies, and methods you can implement in your business immediately. So hit pause and head on over to amberdelagarza.com/quiz. And now let's get to the straight talk. Margaret J. Wheatley once said, "Without reflection, we blindly go on our way, creating more unintentional consequences and failing to achieve anything useful." Every action you take in your business, and even every inaction, leads to a result, possibly good, possibly bad, perhaps neutral, maybe even game-changing. That's because every project you create, email you send, client you sign, offer you create, and person you hire leave their mark on your business. Those actions can lead you closer to your goals, or they can pull you further off track and slow your progress towards your goals. Your time, energy, money, and bandwidth are finite. It's important you invest them in activities, projects, strategies, and people who will make a positive difference in your business, increase your revenue, and help you reach your goals. But which ones will make a positive difference in your business? The best way to determine those answers is to spend time reflecting on what did and didn't work in the past. Then you'll be able to determine what could work in the future and double down on those activities, projects, strategies, and people. No one knows for sure what will work, and we certainly have no guarantees. However, I do believe that reviewing and analyzing your business, along with learning from what worked and didn't, will help you be able to leap forward confidently. Quite simply, when you reflect on the past, you get clarity on how to best move forward. That's where my Insight Feedback Loop comes in. It is my simple but very effective framework for reviewing and analyzing your business, and I'm so excited to be sharing it with you today. Elon Musk was quoted to have said, "I think it's very important to have a feedback loop where you're constantly thinking about what you've done and how you could do it better." I do different variations of my Insight Feedback Loop weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly. But today, we're going to strictly discuss the one that really dives into all the categories of your business, the yearly Insight Feedback Loop. I recommend my clients to do this feedback loop at the end of each year to help them create their strategic plan for the following year so they can hit the ground running. Before executing the feedback loop, though, it is important to first complete a review and analysis of your financial goals so you can see the big picture. For this first section, I want you to get an up-to-date, accurate profit and loss statement. And you may also need your balance sheet if you take owner's draws so that you can determine exactly how much you've taken out of the business via owner's draw, as that does not show up on your profit and loss statement, just payroll. There's 3 areas that I want you to consider looking at where you are currently and or projected to finish out the year with versus what goals you set for the current year. The first financial goal is gross revenue. How much income did you bring into the business? This is the top line number. The next area is profit. So profit is after cost of goods sold, after all expenses in your business, after all payroll. At the very bottom of your P&L, you will have your profit in the business. And based on your own personal goals, financial, tax advisors, all that, you may have different profit goals. You may want to keep more money in the business to invest because of what you have on the horizon in your business with other goals that are going to need financial backing. You may have a tax strategy or personal goals where you want to draw out profits and take it as owner's pay or owner's draw. There is no right or wrong here, but I do want you to be tracking it based on what your own personal goals are around your business's profitability. Then the third area is owner's pay. Owner's pay is often a combination of what you personally are taking home in paycheck and owner's draw. And like I said earlier, you may have to add those 2 numbers together. And just because they like to keep it a little confusing, your profit does not include what you've taken out of the business for owner's draw. And so for you to have your own goals around owner's pay, you have to understand what profit does the business need to make so that you can take X amount in owner's draw. And how much can the business afford to pay you in salary? And that is also a very strategic tax decision that you need to seek with your CPA, tax advisor, whatever professional you go to for advice around your financials and your tax position. With all that being said, though, it's really important that you're clear about where you're currently at, what it is that you want, and what that gap may or may not be. So goals versus actual. So I'm going to wrap that section up in, I want you to review and analyze your gross revenue, your profitability, and your owner's pay. Once you've completed that section, then I want you to ask 2 reflection questions when thinking back to this year or the previous year, depending on when you're doing this. After all, Pete Hall and Alyssa Smirl put it this way: the more reflective you are, the more effective you are. So ask yourself, what wins did you accomplish in your business? And for this episode, it would be specifically, what wins did you accomplish in your business in 2024? Take a few minutes and think back, because so often we forget what our wins are. We're so quick to judge where we're at in relation to our goals and what that gap may be or not be. And I find it incredibly important to identify and celebrate the wins, the small, the big, the medium, and everything in between. The second question you're going to ask yourself is, what challenges or roadblocks did you experience in your business in 2024? And I find that this helps put some context around your business, what actually happened, before you get into the insight feedback loop. There was a year in 2021 when I was out of my business for several months because I got sick with COVID. There was another year, just 2 years ago where I was taking a considerable amount of time off to help my elderly aunt with her estate and to downsize her out of her home and all that was required for her health and taking over her life. And that was unexpected. When I planned out my 2023, nowhere in my crystal ball did it say your aunt is suddenly going to get sick and you're going to have to take over her estate. So no matter how much planning we like to do and how effective planning is, nobody has a crystal ball. And so I love to just sit for a moment and ask ourselves, what challenges or roadblocks did you experience? Because when you go through the next section and you realize what you did accomplish and you had those challenges and roadblocks, I think it puts you in a much greater place to recognize those wins, have grace for yourself, and also be realistic when you're thinking about what you are going to accomplish in the following year. So now we've covered part 1, which is your review and analysis of your financial goals. And then we asked 2 reflective questions. And now, once you have those answered and a clear sense of where you're at in relation to your goals, you'll complete the actual insight feedback loop, in which you'll zoom in to review and analyze specific areas of your business. Those specific areas of your business I recommend doing this for are the following. Marketing and visibility is one area. Sales is another. Servicing clients. Then operations. Then leadership and team. Then your schedule. Then personal. And lastly is other, any other area of your business that you wish to do the insight feedback loop. When thinking of each of these areas, I want you to think about what that means to your business. So for example, when you're doing the insight feedback loop around marketing and visibility, that is going to be around anything that you do to let the world know what it is you do and how you can help them. This is going to be social media and your website if you blog or you have a podcast or you do speaking or you do events or networking. The strategies are endless, but there are specific strategies that your business is doing or not doing to let the world know what it is that you do and how you can help them. So think of it through the lens of marketing and visibility. The next one is sales. So what is your sales process? From the time someone waves their hand and says, I'm interested in working with you. This could be them booking a discovery call, making an inquiry on your website, meeting you at an event. What is your entire sales process? How do you do your presentations, your consultations? How do people buy your services? Everything around the sales process would be in that category. Then, once your client says, I want to work with you, how do I pay? Where do I sign? That is going to be from beginning of the relationship of you working with them to all the way to offboarding and you're done working with them would be how do you service your clients? And if you're product-based, it would be what are your products and how do you deliver your products? This is going to be your offerings. This is going to be your packages. This is going to be how you communicate with your clients, how you deliver the service, how your team works behind the scenes to deliver the services. This area of your business is probably incredibly robust, and there's a lot of moving pieces to it. The next one is operations. Now, it is true that marketing and visibility and sales and servicing clients has operational components to it. And if that makes sense for you to evaluate the operations in each of those 3 categories, then do that. But there are a lot of operations in a business that don't squarely fit in those first 3 categories. So for me, it was really important to look at your business and zoom out and say, operationally, and do the insight feedback loop on that. This is going to be for productivity, efficiency, business systems. And you can think of things like your financial organization can be under operations. It touches every area of your business. What is that process? Then you have leadership and team. So when you're thinking of your team, if you're thinking of leading your team and you're delegating and you're hiring and you're training and you're coaching and you're providing feedback and you're mentoring your team, all the things that fall under leadership and team, you're going to do an insight feedback loop to those types of activities. Schedule is incredibly important, especially here on this podcast, because we talk a lot about work-life balance, because we talk a lot about managing our time effectively. So you'll do an insight feedback loop specifically around your own schedule as the owner of the business. This will make more sense once we jump into the actual feedback loop. And then, because we're real people running real businesses, I think it's incredibly important to do a personal insight feedback loop. Personal on your own skill sets, on your own personal health, on your own personal mental health, your own work-life balance, your hobbies. What matters to you? And you'll do an insight feedback loop around you yourself personally. And then lastly is giving yourself the gift of just saying, is there any other area or category of my business that I want to do this insight feedback loop on? So, what is the insight feedback loop? What are these 3 simple but powerful questions in the insight feedback loop? I'm glad you asked. The 3 questions to ask yourself for each area of your business are as follows. And I want to mention, it is really important to ask them in the specific order I'm sharing them with you today, because the order matters. The first thing you're going to ask, if you put in the center of your feedback loop, let's say, for example, we start with marketing and visibility. We'll just start at the top. I want you to answer the simple question of what is working. Think of that are the things that you're going to continue doing. Maybe you tweak them. Maybe you do more of it. Maybe you do it in a different way slightly. But what is already working in marketing and visibility? And the reason the order matters is because so often we get so excited to, plan next year and what's the next strategy and what's the next shiny object that we add and add to our plate. And sometimes that makes us drop a plate that was serving us, right? So we have all these plates spinning in the air and we get excited about the new one and we keep adding and adding to our spinning plates, and we're not really being very purposeful and conscious about making sure we're not dropping the plates that are already serving the business. So it's important to know what you are already committed to continuing to do with regards to, strategy, people, systems, whatever you're evaluating in that area, what are you going to continue doing? Next, once you've answered that question with the same category in the middle of the feedback loop, so for this example, to marketing and visibility, I want you to answer what is not working. What is not working? And this often means, what are you going to stop doing? And so perhaps you need to look at data. Perhaps you're looking at the ROI is just not there on that marketing and visibility strategy. You're not getting the traction. Or maybe it's a person that you've hired, a consultant that you've hired to help in a specific area. And if it's not working, then you have to stop it in its current form. Now, can you repeat this for question number 3? Number 3 is what could work. And this is your start. And this could be something completely brand new around marketing and visibility. This could be a new strategy that you heard works. This could be something that you've had in your someday maybe, list in your brain. But it could also be something that gets moved from you documented it under what's not working and you're putting it in what could work as a strategy that needs to be overhauled into a method or a system, whatever you're evaluating. I'm using a lot of words here, is that you're stopping it in its current form. But if you believe it still can do good for the business, perhaps it needs an overhaul, and that becomes like a project. It becomes a focus to do it different, to get different results, and that would be a start. So I want to repeat these 3 questions very, very clearly. And I don't want you to get tripped up of like, oh no, is it in the exact right spot? I want you to get the essence and the purpose of these 3 questions. What is working? You're identifying what is working in the business, and we always want to start with wins, and we always want to understand what we are committed to continuing to do in the business. Next, what is not working? It is so powerful to identify what's not working, to subtract, to no longer put resources towards things that are not working in the business so that you could reclaim those resources. And the resources are time, energy, attention, money, so that you can now get curious and creative with what could work, which is what you're forecasting into for the next year in each of these categories. So this feedback loop is an audit, and it focuses your mind. Because if I were to ask you just to review and analyze your business from last year, your brain can go in a lot of places, and it seems like a lot to process. So what I'm doing here is giving your brain specific instructions to look at your business in specific categories and answer, first ask, then answer specific questions. When you give yourself those specific instructions, you're so much more effective, and you're able to focus your mind on actual solutions, or in this case, actual wins and actual challenges and actual solutions for every area of your business. As we wrap up on this episode, I want to answer the question of when and how do you do your yearly insight feedback loop? Prior to setting your goals for next year and creating your strategic plan, I invite you to schedule a minimum of 2 hours away from your office so that you're distraction and interruption free to review and analyze your business before setting goals for next year. It's really important that you separate these activities and that you give yourself enough time to sink in and really be present with this exercise. So a very minimum, I'm going to say, is 2 hours. I've done this many different ways over the years. Sometimes it was the Saturday morning after Thanksgiving with a coffee in hand, candle lit, windows open, sitting at my kitchen table. Other times, it was in the quiet morning before my son woke up during winter break. This year, I hosted an event in Las Vegas where several clients and listeners joined me in a boardroom at Caesar's Palace to plan their entire year and effectively create a blueprint to follow in their businesses. To kick off the business planning weekend, we did the same exact insight feedback loop exercise because it is such an important part of laying the foundation for a successful year. I plan to do this event again because it was such a huge success and I enjoyed it immensely, being with people in real life, getting into the nitty-gritty, collaborating, masterminding, strategizing in their businesses. So keep an eye out for future announcements for more live business events. When you take the time to look back and reflect, you'll have increased clarity on the path forward. I encourage you to give my Insight Feedback Loop a try this year and see how it can help you leap forward into the new year. I have loved having you listen to this episode of the Small Business Straight Talk podcast. And I sure hope you found me going through my review and analysis, specifically my insight feedback loop framework with you today to be valuable. I have to be straight with you. No change, no change. Without taking action, nothing will change for you or your business. So if you are planning to set goals for next year, I highly advise that you first start with this review and analysis of what has happened already in your business. This will give you a great leap forward, a launching pad into the clarity that you need to set amazing, realistic, specific goals that are aligned with you, your business, and where you're currently at. If you're looking to hire a business coach for the new year, now is the time for us to chat. If you're looking for someone that can partner with you, help you with your time management, productivity, leading your team, delegating, making strategic business decisions, then we should talk. To learn more and to schedule a discovery call, head on over to amberdelagarza.com/coaching. Again, that's amberdelagarza.com/coaching. I have 2 ways that you could be working with me in the new year. One is in my group business coaching program called Leverage Lab and in my one-on-one peak performance coaching program. You'll find more information about both, and you can schedule a discovery call by heading on over to amberdelagarza.com. And if you're new here, I want to welcome you. Thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss another episode. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, I would love for you to leave a review wherever you're listening to this podcast. So that's my straight talk for today. Until next time, have a productive week.